Hey folks, how's it going? BearNPC here. Let me just turn the music down a little bit. Well, let's go a little lower. There we go. How's everybody doing? BearNPC here, ready for my Monday night stream. I hope everybody's doing okay. Sorry, I got a little bit of congestion here. Nothing major though. Welcome. Today I'm going to be working a little bit on the remnants of the rule set. I have it down to 42 pages, which is great. Ideally, I wanted it under 60, so I can add a little bit of fluff to it, probably about 2 to 3 pages, then an appendix, and then add some of the art that was made. And I should be at a good 50 pages, which is awesome. Also, so today I'm going to be talking about, let me move this mic a little bit more. Today I'm going to be talking about the playtest process, hopefully, trying to get some people interested, going over any rules questions anybody might have that stops on by. And if none of that happens, I'm either going to play some Wonderlands or going to work on the mundane modules, which is the video series that I'm going to start doing here on this channel. All of my LARP content is going to be on the Crestfallen channel, which has not been started yet, but it is started, but I haven't put anything on there yet. Hold on a second. I'm trying to get something organized for work here. Just talking to Larry via text. Okay, texting over. Sorry about that. Yeah, so a lot of things are currently underway here. So let's go ahead and take a look at some of the documents. Okay, so rule set 0.9 is ready. The only thing it is missing are spell incants because I don't want to make them too hokey. And I'm kind of looking for some thoughts on that. I kind of want them streamlined. I want them very simple so people can understand what they are. But we'll see. Maybe we'll let players customize them. Maybe not. It's hard to say. So let's go ahead and get into mundane modules. Basically, what mundane modules is going to be are very, very basic modules that anybody and everybody can feel free to use for their games, whether it's D&D, any other tabletop game, LARP, anything in general. Basically, it's going to be free and available for people to take a look at and use. I'm going over all the really, really basic stuff that you find in every game. The writing doesn't have to be super complicated. And for LARPs especially, you can reuse things all the time. All the time. So I have a really heavy safe that I have to move at work. And so luckily I have a friend that is lending me some tools in order to move it. All the wheels are frozen. So I went and got, some vehicle dolly wheel sets. I'm going to put those on 2 sides and then lift it up with a jack and try to make it work. But anyway, back to mundane modules. So yeah, I'm basically looking at super simple stuff that you can make much more complex for your own game, but the basic setup is so easy to follow. So sadly, I have to use WordPad currently because I can only have one document open in Word at a time, and I want to keep the rules set open in case anybody has any questions so I can reference stuff. Anybody that's interested in the rules set can feel free to go ahead and sign up for Crestfallen's Discord. I can go ahead and put a link, I think, in the chat. That way people that may watch this video afterwards could possibly find it. Let's see how I do that. Nope, that's the ID. I'll figure that out. I'll get it posted in here somewhere. But copy of the rules documents are there and available. You can do a search for Crestfallen LARP. LARP is all in capital letters. Should be good. But yeah. Let's go ahead and move that past. Move that over there. But yeah, basically what I want to end up doing is I'm going to be writing a number of modules that people can use at their discretion. And I want people to use them. So my goal is to make 100 total. I want to do one video a month until I get the hang of it, and then I will try to go to once a week. But I want to do one Crestfallen video a month and one BearNPC video a month until I get to that point. But what I did was I looked up a bunch of the tropes that are common for everything story-wise. So you see we got love triangle, the chosen one, the secret heir, the evil overlord, the reluctant hero, the lucky novice, the mentor, powerful artifact, the waiting evil, here comes the cavalry, all this kind of stuff. And I'm going to write really, really basic modules. And then you as a content creator, a LARP writer, a D&D, DM, whatever, can feel free to use it and tweak it as you need to go. So for example, contested ownership, module number 1. There's lots of different versions of this kind of module. Like the King Solomon being brought a baby and trying to decide who to give it to, and deciding to cut it in half concept. It's basically you have two characters that are arguing over ownership of something or someone or some place, and they go to the players for help. Super simple, very basic. But you can change that up in so many different variations. It makes writing modules super, super easy. So ideally what I want to make is 100 modules in a book. And then if I need to run a random module for my own game, I'll just roll a D100 and I already have a module written up, because these are all basic things. This is all stuff that not necessarily, it shouldn't be like end of the world. It shouldn't be like super, it's stuff you can pick up quick. So, yeah, ideally, if anybody has any thoughts on what I could use for a module, feel free to send it over to BearNPC@gmail.com. But yeah, I'm going to start working through some of these, and then I'll start flushing out videos, hopefully in the near future. And like I said, I'm going to make this all publicly available, so that people can use it. Okay. NPC wise, you're going to need a minimum of 2. There should be 2 well thought out arguments as to why there should be a well thought out argument as to why both characters feel that they deserve ownership of the person, place, thing. Okay. Props. You don't need much, luckily. Now, I don't want anybody to think necessarily that ownership of a person is necessarily a good thing. However, some games are more willing to tread into that territory. So you have to be particularly careful. I'm going to have that in the warnings section. So, slavery / perceived ownership of characters can be very is a topic that can be taken many different ways. This subject should not be taken lightly. And depends on your game, players, and or rules set. Some games, like my game, my LARP game is not going to delve into slavery. I don't want. It's something that could trigger a lot of bad feelings, and I don't think that it's necessary to bring up into a game. I'm not trying to erase it, but in the fantasy game world, it's not a thing. Period. Bad guys are going to be bad guys. They're going to do evil, awful, horrible things. But I've already decided that slavery and rape and there's one other thing in particular that I don't want to go anywhere near with a 10-foot pole. it's yet again, it's not saying that these things don't exist. It's just I don't want people to have to worry about those kinds of things at the game. There are more than enough other things that we're going to be kind of more open to, because bad guys are bad guys and they have to do bad things. But those items in particular just have a very visceral response, and I really don't want to cause any problems for people. I don't want to cause anybody to be upset. Okay. 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 Resolutions. Resolutions I'm going to have follow bullet points. Just so people know, you know, you can play it off however you want. Okay. Some people like their LARP modules to be very set and static, so there's only one ending. I'm not that guy, but I'm going to make it available, especially for people that run these as like D&D modules or stuff like that. Okay, so basic premise. Two characters are arguing over ownership of a person, place, thing. They come to the players for help. NPCs, minimum of 2, 1 on each opposing side, of course. There should be a well thought out argument as to why both characters feel that they deserve ownership of the person, place, or thing. Set up ahead of time who the true owner is / was. This will not change the outcome necessarily, but your characters may your true owner character may have a better story / understanding of events. Keep this in mind. Okay. So. I'm sorry, I kind of missed my mute button, but this microphone works a lot better at canceling out the outside noise. So, Okay. Resolutions. It's always the option for violence. One or both the sides are unhappy with the decision made by the players. This could include killing, breaking the person, place, thing, attacking the players, attacking each other, or planning revenge in a different module all together. Fair decision. Both parties feel the decision is fair or is afraid to challenge the decision. The character that wins the decision will pay the players for their assistance. There should always be a reward. There should always be a reward for doing something good. Because the big problem is, at least previous games that I played, good guys always... Good guys found it difficult to keep up with the bad guys because the bad guys were always stealing stuff and everything like that. It's always difficult. So you want to promote if you want to promote good characters at your game, you need to make sure that they are treated as fairly as possible. Okay, what other resolutions can we have? Players don't make a decision in a timely fashion, so the characters look for other players or give up. They storm off in a bad mood. This may lead to another module. Because you could always have the vengeance mod or both sides fighting and looking for people. Maybe they hire people to help them, things of that nature. What other option do we have? Unfair decision. The wrong character is sided with and gets away with doing something bad. The true owner may go to the authorities if you have in-game characters that are involved in law stuff. Hire other players to right the wrong. Or attempt a renegotiation. Okay. Then we have various examples: a property dispute, family item dispute, custody dispute, partners gone wrong, things of that nature. It all depends on your game style. I think that's a good warning in regards to that. Yep. Fairly simple. Straightforward. And done. Let's go ahead and make this font type 16. That means everything else will be 12, but that means they'll stand out. Okay. So module 1 is done. I might need to add some more stuff to it, but the basics are all there. Yes, this is live. How's it going? I'm BearNPC. I've been making LARP and D&D content. My day's going okay. Had a short day at work. Just trying to get back into some of my LARP stuff. How about yourself? Okay. Right now, I'm just working on some basic module stuff for LARP games. So if you have any questions, feel free. Hit me up. If you're somebody that I know, feel free. Say who you are. And if you want to talk about any of the LARP stuff, feel free. Ask away. So, second basic premise, the love triangle. Not a fan of using relationship stuff at LARPs. Just because, honestly, they can complicate things. Good. Glad to hear it. With the way things are going out in the world, it's good to have a good day. That's for darn sure. Okay, so let's get all of our core items in here. Basic premise. NPCs. Props. Resolution. Yeah, not a problem. No problem at all. feel free to lurk, or if you have any questions, ask away. For the most part, I'm just working on some new content. I'm going to start some YouTube videos here, hopefully in the near future. And I'm trying to make some free content for LARPers. So all kinds of modules that they can use either for LARP games or D&D or whatnot. Pretty much that's it. Okay, so love triangle. You're going to have the typical 3 characters. Now, I don't want to be very particular on any thought processes because I think anytime you're dealing with relationship dynamics and whatnot, you leave that up to your players. So I'm not attributing any thought process of what genders they like or things of that nature. Let the players sort that out themselves. That makes it a lot easier. So minimum 3 characters. Where the players decide on their comfort level regarding how the love triangle works between them and why it has gone wrong. Before, Plot would always write these kind of things, and it was always very, very much directed at the general tropes that happen in movies and in fiction and whatnot. And now we have to be a lot more understanding that there are multiple relationship dynamics, and we never want to force a player to do something that they are uncomfortable with. And we also don't want to normalize any particular pairing or anything like that. So let the players work it out. Don't force anything that it seems unnatural. And if at any point anybody seems uncomfortable with the dynamic, just get rid of the module. It's not worth it. It's not worth making people uncomfortable. Props, none required. However, good additions may be wedding / promise rings, dowries, or similar thought, or gifts. Okay. Oh, it happens. It happens. Just making sure that I'm not frozen here. There we go. No, all good. All good. I'm just going over the importance of making sure that the players, whenever you have like relationship dynamics involved, you let your players decide that kind of stuff. It's not something that Plot should necessarily force. You don't want to force somebody into an uncomfortable circumstance and whatnot. And if at any point anybody's uncomfortable with it, it's better to just scrap the module than to upset people. But there are some people that like relationship stuff at in D&D and in LARPs and things of that nature. I'm not generally that person, but you have to write games for more people than yourself. So just got to keep it in mind. Okay. Most games you need to plan on violence being one of the options regardless. Yeah. I mean, you can always do that. Certain games, that's totally permissible. Other games, not so much. You just got to keep it in mind as an option. Okay, so yeah, I mean, some people, you go to a game and it's your way to, you know, get out the frustrations of the day. You can't really default to violence in the real world. Otherwise, you go to jail. So it is much better in a game to get that anger out. So yeah, I've known a lot of people like that. So, okay. So whenever it comes to love triangle stuff, either most likely one of the characters is scorned in one way. This could be this could be a berserk style attack or a very calm and calculated one when no one is paying attention or at a different point completely. You know what? Most of my stuff is always up on top of my head. But the one thing that I've found is that running a LARP is very, very difficult whenever you don't have other people that work the same way you do. So it's much better if you can get your thought processes out on paper. Other people can kind of meet you halfway. I've run into the big problem where I have players that they will say, hey, I don't want to know anything about your story. I just want to show up for a weekend and basically, you know, do what you tell me. Well, it's very difficult to do that for 10, 12, 20 people. You know, you need people that know your story and are going to go along with it and kind of can, you know, play with ideas on the fly. Oftentimes, it's me running a game by myself. So I need to find ways that I can get other players to run and organize things, on a much smaller scale. So, for my new game, I basically have it that I'm going to have the bad guy of the week module kind of idea. So let's say the gnolls are the bad guys for the weekend. I will be running the gnolls exclusively. There might be a couple other small side monsters that I run and do things with, but the gnolls are my main bad guy. And then I will have 2 NPCs that are heads of the other 2 big monster factions, the undead and the goblins. and they will have one job to one goal that they're supposed to do over the course of the weekend. Maybe the undead have to steal 3 magic items, or the goblins have to capture X number of people or find an idol or something like that. Both of them will have a job, and I will set it up in the game, and the heads of those 2 groups will basically run NPCs as combat monsters the entire weekend on their own. They'll have cards, they'll have treasure, they'll have all that kind of stuff, and they can check back with me. But for the most part, I will have at any point 3 to 10 NPCs constantly out doing stuff, trying to complete their goals. And the net thought process on this is every time the NPC groups complete one of their goals, all of their monster cards go up in some fashion. So maybe they'll get an extra hit point for the next game, or maybe they'll get an extra skill or stuff like that. So I have a lot of thought process in it, but yeah, I tend to not like the paper version, but I've realized I need to do it. So it is what it is. I don't want to say everyone's happy. Everyone's appeased. There's a decision reached where all 3 of the characters are happy. They will pay the players for their help. Straight up. Two happy and the other scared away. There is a decision reached, and one of the characters is unhappy with the situation. This may lead to a later confrontation, robbery, hired assassin, or any number of other retaliatory reactions. Okay, all good. This may lead to a later confrontation, robbery, hired assassin. Okay. This may lead to a later confrontation, robbery, hired assassin, or any number of other retaliatory reactions. The character is too cowardly to do something on their own. All good. So most examples, any love triangle movie. I'm trying to think of anything in particular. Not too often. I have a couple of my players for my D&D games. They stop by and hang out, and they just BS a little bit, and then they they go their merry way. Sadly, I stream a little too late for everyone. But this is whenever my kids are asleep. So they're, not making a lot of ruckus and whatnot. But normally I have like my wife hangs out, or some of my other D&D players, or some of my old LARP friends hang out, but not very often. For the most part, this is just me getting used to doing this kind of stuff. And then, like I said, I want to start getting YouTube videos out, but I'm teaching myself how to do all that. So it's taken a bit, but and then I'm doing a revamp on my streaming room. So it's very messy right now, but it'll get better. Definitely get better. I got a green screen and a couple other things that I'm kind of excited to start working on. Warnings. Relationship dynamics at games are not everyone's favorite subject. Some may choose to avoid, which is perfectly acceptable. It is that's the thing, like relationships at games. I don't like involving any of that kind of stuff. Because I've found that most relationships that occur in game settings are fairly fleeting. And if you base your character off of another person's character, it can often go bad. Unless, you're like married out of game and you have been for a while and things like that. But oftentimes I've seen people that are married and try to have relationships with other characters at games, and it can cause all kinds of problems. So some games totally don't want to even deal with it. I definitely think that there should be a sit down between all parties involved just to make sure you don't hurt anybody's feelings. But it's difficult. You can't force that as a game runner. Just suggest it. Okay. I think I'm going to leave that for now. I think the concept of the chosen one as a module is just kind of funny. What if you're at a LARP event and you run into your world's version of like Harry Potter or something like that? All good. Resolution. Okay. And of course I get text message late at night, but all good. And my phone's dying. That helps a ton too. Okay. The chosen one. Skywalker. I would never use it as the player. I've only seen one instance where it's been good that a player was the chosen one, and they turned out to be a bad guy, which was kind of funny. But no, I've never found that doing that for a player character is a good idea. I kind of want to do this kind of module as ironic. Somebody thinks they are the chosen one. They've been duped. They think they are destined to be the one that brings balance to whatever. And they lead players on like a wild goose chase to do, some kind of great story for them. And they end up finding out that, they were just lied to. Actually, I think I remember a module like that in Borderlands 2, if I remember correctly. Yeah, you could have the rich kid that some soothsayer basically said, "Oh yeah, I've read your signs and you are destined for this greatness or this great thing or something." And then they fail epically. And the players are there to see it. Claptrap is that a lot. But I think the one I'm thinking of, there was the EchoNet star that found Maurice, and he said that he was the chosen one and got some special gun, and ended up going off and dying, and you retrieve the gun back for one of the characters. But yeah. Character believes they have been chosen by fate for some destined reason and attempts to hire the players or convince them to assist in the quest. One NPC that is blinded by the fact that there was one AI where you help them and place them throughout all these powerful robots. Oh, yeah. That was, oh, crap. That was towards the end of the game in the Iridian Blight. He wanted to be more human. Oh, no. There's the one that wanted to be more human, so you got him human body parts. You're talking about the one that was on the bridge. Sorry, played a lot of Borderlands. Oh, I loved / hated that gun. Okay. One NPC that is blinded by the fact that they not truly chosen for anything. You may add an additional entourage that also believes they are the chosen one. I don't play many mobile games. For the most part, I've been playing Wonderlands recently. I was playing Chrono Cross for a bit, but I've kind of left that off to the side. I play a lot of retro games most of the time. but I've been focusing mainly on this stuff. I used to be an owner for a national-based LARP game, and we ended up closing it down right before some bad stuff happened with the owner of it. And I've been working on this ever since, and really looking forward to hopefully getting it up and running. But it's one of those things. The market is oversaturated right now because everybody's coming out of COVID lockdowns and everything, and so I'm not sure how it's going to go, but I'm just trying to work my best. I am not that tech savvy, sadly. Also, lots of the places where I previously ran games didn't have good Wi-Fi or anything like that in particular. I'm used to basically paper systems for all of the LARP stuff, printing out tags and whatnot. For the most part, I've developed most of the paperwork framework that I need for running them. An app would definitely be easier, but you also have to get people to adopt to that, and I'm not sure how that might necessarily go. Oh, cool. Got somebody asking for the Discord link, so I got to send that over once I figure that out after streaming. But yeah. Fancy weapons or costuming. If I ever got into it and thought that you know, the tech was there, I definitely would probably do something like that. It would be a lot easier to track everything. For the most part, I'm going to use like Google Docs and things like that, but bullet points. Okay. As per usual, violence. All good. Thanks for stopping by. I appreciate it. Have a great one. Okay, resolution. Add a llama. I'll keep that in mind. Okay, so the players don't believe that the character is chosen, and this causes... Thanks. I appreciate it. Yeah, I normally stream Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, 9 until midnight, but feel free to stop by anytime. I appreciate it. Now, why didn't my sub metric work, though? I got to get this figured out. Have a great night. So, the players don't believe the character is chosen, and this causes the chosen to attack out of spite, vanity, or plain anger. I'm going to add the additional if So I like this idea. Additionally, if the players go with the chosen and don't help them properly, or another character does the deed that the chosen one was chosen for, that character would likely attack. I like that idea. I like it a lot. Okay. You know what? I'm going to go ahead and take a break right now. And go ahead and try to send the Discord link over to the person that is interested. I will be right back. Feel free, enjoy the tunes. Be back in 5. And I'm back. Okay. So far, so good. I got some more interested parties. So that's great. I appreciate it. So if anybody has any questions, they can feel free to ask. But other than that, we are all good. Okay. Let's keep going through the Chosen One module here. Players help the Chosen to complete their goal. As such, they are rewarded for bringing fate to its logical conclusion. Failure. So I kind of like the idea of failure. The players allow the Chosen to fail and die. Perhaps followers. Perhaps followers of the Chosen. Oh man, music is over. Let's go with lo-fi again. Let's go like halfway down the list. That one's good. Yeah. Okay. So, I like we have violence in a few ways. We have assistance. The players help the Chosen to complete their goal. As such, they are rewarded for bringing fate to its logical conclusion. Failure. The players allow the Chosen to fail and die. Perhaps followers of the Chosen seek retaliation. I also like the thought of perhaps the parents of the Chosen come searching for them and are angered or saddened perhaps they pay for info. Other options. Let's see what else. What else we got? I think I'm gonna leave it there. Those are three good ideas. Warnings. I don't think there is any. The only warning I can think of is be careful using items based on religion. keep the game world in mind regarding this module. Do not base things on religion. Do not base thing on real world religions, as it can be viewed poorly. Some games use their own religions, which may be acceptable. Yeah. That's a huge thing, because some people don't like religion in their game. My game is not going to have necessarily any religion. There will be more powerful creatures than the average person, but everyone and everything in the game is nothing is omniscient. Nothing knows everything. You don't necessarily want that. I really want to be sure that we're keeping in mind that, you know, I don't want to upset anybody with their real world religious beliefs. I know that I wouldn't want my religion made fun of, and in certain games it was, and it only partially bothered me. At the end of the day, you need to realize that whatever game you're attending, it is that game's version of whatever you're doing. So it's not necessarily worth getting upset about, but some people get upset more easily than others, and it's better to be upfront and honest whether you're going to have religion in your game or not. But whenever it comes to the thought process of the chosen one, like I said, the whole... Oh, thank you. Thanks, Larry. I really appreciate it. Sorry that I couldn't come down and grab it. Like I said, I would have got it tomorrow, but I do appreciate the help. And I will definitely, I will make sure that you are compensated for it. If you want some crab cakes or something, let me know which kind, and I'll get you the hookup. 'Cause I know you guys eat those, so we're almost back to normal. So don't mind, you know, sharing the wealth. How's everything going? Was work pretty good for you today? Either way, I appreciate it, man. I'm going to take out Harry Potter and put the one who lived. I don't want to use any specific names. Oh no, Amazon be Amazon. How's it going, Frank? Hope everything's good. I was super happy that I finished up the rules last stream. My goal was to have them by the end of this month, and just got it figured. Yeah, no worries, man. I appreciate it. Take a look. Oh, listening at a restaurant. Hey, I appreciate it. Yeah, if you guys have any questions in regards to the rules, feel free, ask away. Some of them are vague on purpose, because we want people to make their own stuff and be cool and feel cool by making their own stuff. but that doesn't mean that I want to have the rules, feel like they're unfinished. So if you have any questions at all, feel free, ask away. Otherwise, I'm working on my mundane modules section. If you guys have any very, very vague, basic story stuff, modules that you think would be easy to reuse, feel free, bring them up. Frank says, not bad listening in a restaurant. I'm here for the mystery of the lore. The lore is going to be a lot of finding out in game, which I'm very excited for. I have systems for all of it, but I hope they go well. Larry says, it was super annoying. Everything I did had to be undone and done again because the boss said to build things that I told him weeks ago I thought were only there because they were. That sucks, man. I'm sorry to hear it. Thanks, Frank. I appreciate it. Yeah, I mean, for the most part, they're very, very simple. Jared, did you see any of the art that I've been posting? Let me make them bigger here. So my resident artist, she does pictures for all of my D&D content. She does awesome work. These are the gnolls. Hey, I am super excited for it too. In the rules, it specifically says how you can get extra character points for, everything. So feel free, check that out. Tell me if you think it's a cool system. Here are my goblins, looking cool. Goblins are only going to use buckler shields and one-handed weapons. Undead wield 2 weapons, and the gnolls use claws. But one thing you should notice, like the undead have a semi-intelligence to them. They're not just going to be mindless, undead, which I like, and there's reasoning for all that. But let me shrink these back down. I have another art piece that I want to bring up too. It's going to be in the lore video that I shoot, but let me see if I can pull it up here. Nope. There might be later on, but the undead are drawn to magic in particular for reasons. Bum, bum, bum. Where is that picture? Gnolls are going to be super cool. They're going to eat people's limbs because they're creepy like that. But one of the things I discussed earlier in the stream was that one of the things I brought up was that the NPCs, I'm going to run the NPC group of the weekend, and then I'm going to have 2 other people that are in charge of the other 2 groups, and they're going to have jobs that they're supposed to do. And if they complete their mission for the weekend, their character sheets go up in some way. So I think it's a cool concept. Here is the art. Let me see if I can make... Yeah, let me pull that over here. Sorry, I got a lot of tabs open. So this picture right here is, I hope that it has a very familiar feeling to some people that used to play the national base game back in the day, overlooking the water. Basically, these are people pulled from all kinds of different planes of existence. Sounds like there's an impetus to stop the NPCs from growing too powerful. Yeah, yeah. Well, the whole premise of the game is that it is you guys as the players building a community and trying to prevent these other groups from getting too powerful. There will always be, you know, there's only going to be 3 groups to start. There's the undead, there's the gnolls, there's the goblins. I was going to have orcs before, but I like gnolls better, and I think they look different enough. I never want there to be a "what do I see" call, because those suck. But as you can see here in the pic, my artist did a great job, and it's all these characters falling out of portals, some to some more deadly locales, some more to safety, some actually forming under the water from these portals. And the whole concept that my brain has told me is that, you know, there have been a lot of us that have played games and the game fell through for one reason or another. Maybe the national-based owner did some bad things that caused us to not be able to play our games anymore. So this world is basically where a lot of those characters that survived. So you can play an old character if you want. You can play a new character if you want. But there's going to be reasons why things change. Like if Corbin would ever show up here, he would not have the vehement hatred for necromancy because that kind of magic is legal. But the creation of undead, he can totally be angry at. But yeah, I think the art's cool. But yeah. Let me make sure that's going good. But yeah, overall, I'm very, very happy with the way things are going. It's taken me a lot longer than I would have liked, for sure. But I've had varying people be interested and uninterested at the same time. Some people fell through and whatnot. So for the most part, I've been doing most of this myself, and I'm only now getting to the point where I'm starting to look for other people to be interested, because I wanted to write the rules myself. That way I have a buck stops here guy. Yeah, I kind of agree with you. It was a good thing that I didn't start before COVID, because then it all probably would have went out the window. But now I'm almost done paying off the other business. I'm having a lot of trouble with certain portions of that. But because that's starting to wind down, I feel a little bit more comfortable doing this kind of stuff. And I want to do more stuff on YouTube here. I'm very interested in doing that because I want a lot of the lore and a lot of the... one thing you'll notice, Frank, whenever you look at the rulebook, I don't get into the social aspects of things. I don't get into the 4 core rules or anything like that. That'll be part of the fluff pages. I know it's not really fluff, but in a way it kind of is to me. But I want to do a bunch of videos on, like, this is how an elf character should look. This is how a dwarf character should look. So it doesn't take part of the rule book. 42 pages. That's more than enough. And then we'll grow as a group. That's the hope. But yeah. Okay, chosen one module, I think, is done for right now. Let's move on. The secret air. I think the concept for the secret air is going to definitely be more based off of more of monetary value rather than necessarily like a noble. So it's somebody that finds out that his family actually owns a copper mine or something like that that they never expected. But yeah, Frank, I came up with all the numbers for everything in the rules are pretty much done. The only change I might make is instead of gaining 4 character points for attending an event and then being able to buy 4 more for your primary character and 4 for your secondary character, I might raise it up to 5 because so these are all the ways to get character points, and only one of them is paying money. Everything else is things you can do to gain them for free, because I really don't care. As long as I can pay for site costs, and eventually, you know, I want to pay myself and the people that are running the plot, but that's never been like something that I've ever actually been able to do. And I will never take money for myself until other people can do that too. You're here for the numbers crunch? Hey, let's go for it. Let's talk some rules. I like having people around. Okay. So basically here's what's up. Character points wise, you start off with 60 character points. I miss you guys so much. So you start off with 60 character points, right? And you use your character points to buy skills and to unlock different categories. Now, like it shows there, there's lots of ways to get extra character points, but everything is tied to events. So you have to go to an event to get any more character points. There's none of this, I'm donating money, so I'm buying more character points. There's none of this, I'm paying for private roleplay sessions or anything like that. None of that stuff. It's real simple. It's real open. Like everybody can see what's going on. No special like deals for, you know, I'm not going to sell you a +3 magic sword for $200 so I can, never mind. I'm not going to get into slanderous stuff. Anyway, so you start off with 60. Whenever you go to an event, you currently get 4, and then you can buy or receive 4 extra character points for the character you're playing and 4 for your secondary character. You can only have 2 characters. We're only planning on running like max 4 events a year. So you're gonna get skills slow, but that's okay, I think, currently. Stamina points, you start off with 5. You can buy more. That's what fuels most of the bigger skills. Energy points, hey, that's what you use to fuel magic. Done. Essence points. Hey, this is how many lives you have. You start off with 5. If you die, you lose an essence point. But you can use essence points for other things. Let's say you want to make a cool magic item. Maybe you use one of your essence points into the magic item and it does something cool that you're not expecting. Or let's say, hey, there's this character that you really liked and you want to bring them back to life and they already lost their essence points. We can actually run modules where you go to where that character's, you know, energy is left and you give up your essence points to bring them back to life. You know, all those cool things that, you know, certain folklores and fairy tales do that we could never do with a national based game. Anyway, body. It's same as national based game. You start off with 5 and you can buy more. But if you have a good costume, you, yeah, right. You start off with 5 body. If you have a really good costume, that gives you 10 additional body, not armor points, body. Frank says, you want to dip into buying national plot. No, I have zero interest in buying eggs or story or any of that kind of stuff. Yeah, no, that's kind of the thought process on it. Oh, the other cool thing about essence points is if you show up to our yearly, hey, we're going to talk. Well, that's true too. So if you, once a year, we're going to have basically a symposium where all the players can show up, and anything that we're play testing, anything that is in testing, any new monsters we want to add to the game, anything like that, is all going to be up to character votes or player votes. And we basically want the players to help us drive the direction of the game. If you show up to that and you have input, everybody that shows up gets an additional essence point. So you get an extra life for showing up and helping the game get better. There's no special way there is no required NPCing. Let me come up here. You can play a monster NPC shift. If you do, you spend 4 hours doing an NPC shift as a side story monster. You get 1 character point for free if you do it. Can more than one person pool together essence to try and make an artifact? Maybe. That's a yes if you didn't catch that. Yeah, you can totally do cool stuff like that. The one thing that we're doing to minimize like PvP stuff though is if you use an essence point to make an item, it is basically bound to your character. So it's essentially spirit linked from the national based game stuff. If your character permanently dies, then you can leave, somebody else can get it and whatnot, but we go from there. If you full-time NPC, if you do a full NPC shift, so you're NPCing the entire weekend, you get 4 character points on top of the 4 you're already receiving for attending the event. So basically you max out the experience that your character would get. Plus you will get some leaves are the money, or resources, based on the attendance policy. And if you're staff, every event that you attend as staff, you get 4 character points as well. This stacks with the full NPC shift. So if you're on staff and you've NPC the entirety of a weekend, you've maxed out your character points for that weekend. But there's other cool things you can do to get character points for free too. Carpooling. If you are driving at least 2 additional players to an event, you get 1 character point for free. If you do cleanup above and beyond, we grant 1 character point for free. If you bring an in-game space, such as making a tavern or a lab or a workshop, you get 1 character point for free. If you turn in 100 leaves, which is $100, in-game money, you get 1 character point for free. Limit 1 per event. And if you pre-reg, and everybody that pre-regs in advance, if we get to the point where the site cost and insurance is covered for that event, so all of the pre-registration costs are covered, so I don't have to put any of my money in, everybody that pre-regged gets a character point for free. Why not? All kinds of ways to get additional character points. So yeah, like I was saying before, you get 5 body points starting. You get 10 additional if your armor is, or if your costume is rated cool. Armor, you can have a maximum of 40 armor points. You have to have, it uses the old like areas, but you get 5 points for covering most of an area, and it doesn't matter what material it is. So if you have a cool leather suit of armor, cool. It's 5 points per area it's in. If you have a cool plate mail armor set, cool. It's 5 armor points per area it covers. Chainmail, cool, whatever. Just as long as it looks cool and looks appropriate. If it for whatever reason looks kind of anachronistic or bad or something like that, we can reduce the cost, but we want to basically leave it up to the player. Like, I'm not a fan of plate mail at games because you can't feel weapon swings as easy. It does make that good resounding crack, but it also wears out weapons easier as well. So I have a love-hate relationship with it because it looks so cool. But you can wear leather armor. You can just wear costuming. It's all good. But no one gets armor for free. You have to spend points on it. Maximum you can get is 40, unless you have a spell or something that goes over the top. Lineages. I don't use the term race because people don't like it, and I'm okay with that because I understand why. But the lineages have very specific costume requirements and basic descriptions, but they are not necessarily, very stringent. But then we get into the categories. So each category that you buy is 5 points, but it goes up. What's the word? Let me check. It goes up exponentially. So I don't know where that wording went. Huh. It might be in character points. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, it says right in the character points section, characters use these CP to purchase categories and skills, which grant characters additional options through the course of the game. Characters start with access to the general and their character's lineage category for free. Other than these, the first category a character purchases costs 5 character points, and each additional will cost 5 more than the last. So your second will be 10, your third will be 15, your fourth will be 20, stuff like that. So if you spread out too much, you're not going to have a lot of skills. But the cool part is each lineage has its own cool stuff that you can do that other ones don't. And humans have cool stuff that they can do. So anyway, the general skill category, you buy body campsites. I'm thinking of using. It's a difficult question. Raccoon is cheap, but I don't like the layout. I don't like the accommodations, anything like that. But it's cheap, so I might use that to start off with. So far I'm looking at Camp Lambeck up on Lake Erie. I am thinking about doing Raccoon and Camp Golden Pond. I've heard great things about, so I want to check them out. Yeah, all good. All good. But those are the 3 that I'm kind of leaning towards right now. Nothing is set in stone because we're not going to be actually having a full event until next calendar year. Basically I'm going to have 3 or 4 one day, going to a park, renting a pavilion, going over the rules, seeing if people agree or disagree with how things are structured point wise. see if the game is playable with the way everything is, and go from there. So yeah, so body, you can buy more. You start off with 5, and every time you buy it, you get 1 more. But the point cost goes up every time you buy it. So your first body point is 1 point. Your second body point is 2, 3, 4. Same goes with stamina. So you have diminishing returns on what you get. So it limits how many times you can use special abilities. Wear armor. You get 5 points every time you purchase it, but it's a straight cost of 4. None of those have stamina points. Dwarves start off with 2 additional body points straight up. You get it for free. Family stockpile. It costs 8 points, but you get free money at check-in. Forging. The craft skill to make weapons and armor and whatnot. Historical research. That's a research skill. You can, at games, you can ask up to 3 yes or no questions. Before game, you can, as long as you let us know about 2 weeks in advance, you can ask a question and you might get a full write-up on it, which you can then possibly sell. Immunity to poison. You can't start off with it. You have to have okay, so which question is for what? Frank, you said cumulatively. What in regards? If you're talking about the body skill, you get 2 extra body points on top of whatever. Yes. But you can't buy the skill multiple times. You just get it once for free. If you're talking about family stockpile, you can only buy most of the skills once, unless it has the star next to it. Then you can buy it multiple times. So yeah, immune poison, you buy it once and you're immune to the poison condition, regardless of how it's delivered. But you have to buy resist poison first, and you have to have so many points in the dwarven category to purchase. I did not come up with a value for that, so I'm going to say that you have to have resist poison. So that's already 10 points. I'm going to say you have to have 30 points in being a dwarf to have that. All of the lineages have, well, not all of them, but some semblance of that similar skill. Okay, one-handed axes and hammers, 3 points. So you can only use those, but I mean, it's at a discount in comparison, especially depending on what categories you buy. Resist fear. You can resist a fear condition once per 2 stamina cost. So you don't buy resists multiple times like you did in the national game. You buy the skill once, and if you want to use it, you use stamina to resist it. But it doesn't cost any stamina if you are immune to an effect. So it's worth buying up to it if that's something you want to do. Two-handed axes and hammers, 4 points. And wear extra armor. Notice if you're a dwarf, you get that at a 1 point discount. So it's well worth purchasing multiple times if you're a dwarf. Elves get enchanting for free, and that's potions and scrolls. Immune charm and immune sleep. You can buy both of those, but you have to have the resist charm and and or resist sleep skills for that. Innate energy. As an elf, you get 2 free spell points. That also gets you 2 free spells from the basic spell list. Magic research. One-handed swords, ranged weapon bows, resist charm, resist sleep, and stealth woodlands. You can hide in the woods once per event for 2 stamina, but that's pretty dope. The Hofflin, which are basically the halflings, get alchemy, so blade poisons and stuff like that. I don't have traps in the game because they distract from the way the game goes. I don't like holds. I want to minimize holds. Buckler shield, 4 points. Diplomacy. Diplomacy is a cool skill. Basically, you start talking to people, and then you can call diplomacy, and you distract people that are engaged in the conversation with you. Flesh wound. Essentially, it's the dodge skill. You instead of getting hurt, you take 1 point of damage. Gathering. Gathering is basically going out and looking for resources, and you roll on a random table to see what resources you get. But the nice part is you can choose which category you're in, whether it's alchemy, enchanting, or forging. So you always find stuff that you want and or need. I think honestly, all of them are fairly well balanced. I really like them. So the Hofflin get immune to entangle because they're more nimble and dexterous. They have the remove poison ability, resist entangle. They get 2 stamina points for free starting off, and then they can buy thrown weapon for 1 point. Humans. Yes, the word I was looking for before. Humans, super cool. They get adaptable. So instead of getting a particular thing, they can choose whether they get 2 body, 2 energy, or 2 stamina whenever they make the character. Once you decide it, it's stuck, so you cannot change it up. They are the only ones that can buy firearms very, very early in game. They're trained in basic firearms only, so single shot only, but they can craft them and they can use them. Know a guy, cool skill. You basically go to plot and say, hey, I know a guy that can do blah. If plot doesn't come back with something that is useful, you get your points back. Skill reset isn't a thing anymore, so I got to cut that. Yeah, they can use it whenever. I don't care. Medical training. You can stabilize and heal characters through natural means. It uses stamina and it takes time to do, binding people up and whatnot. But they heal 5 hit points per minute that you spend tending to their wounds. Scientific research, super cool. And weapon of choice. You get 1 weapon that you get to choose. Yeah, super chill. Kinfolk. These are all the animal people. So we don't break it down into any specific grouping. Like certain groups don't get special ones. But so we got alchemy. Makes sense. Berserk augmentation. If you get hit with the berserk effect, basically, if you use this ability, you're able to choose the targets that you're fighting not necessarily attack the person closest to you, because you're used to being a little bit more feral. I kind of like that idea. You can have claws. Cower is you can basically cause intelligent creatures to think that you're not a threat, and so they won't attack you. You can buy resist and immune to knockback, which is awesome. If you're knocked back, you have to take 5 steps away. Parry, once per event. Search. You can gain information on a module or area. So it is a research skill, so you can ask questions of plot. Yes or no questions. Thrown weapon, and then variable. Basically, you can choose whether you have 2 body points or 2 stamina points, because the kinfolk are not innately magical, but they can be either hardy or have more stamina. Orc is straight up the on the PC list of lineages. Get two body points. You're good at hiding a object on your person that people can't find using search. Demand, you can get half price for 1 guild item. Harvesting, that is basically taking stuff off of enemies. Whenever you search an enemy, you will only find money, unless you have the harvesting skill, which you might be able to harvest resources from them. Immune to knockdown, one-handed bladed weapons, rage. Rage is kind of cool because you deal more damage, but afterwards then you get tired. Resist bleed and resist knockdown. Bleed is a very, very dangerous effect. I like it. So orcs kind of can resisting that is pretty cool. And then 2-handed bladed weapons. All the lineages I think are fairly balanced. I think they're pretty cool. But yeah. So then we move into the different combat skills. So it's basically broke up into 4 groups: magic, direct combat, group combat, and unarmed combat. Magic is straight up energy. You buy spells, very similar to stamina, but you're going to be able to get less points. So it's going to get expensive fast. There will be less magic thrown around, but it's going to be far more effective. One-handed weapon has the size category. It's not broken down into any particular type. Ranged weapon, that is any thrown weapon, or that is bows and crossbows. Specialization. You can throw an unlimited amount of basic elemental energy. 4 main elements plus harming and healing. If you buy the augmentation, you can do 2 points. And if you buy the mastery, you can do 3 points. Really cool because you can heal people in an unlimited amount of time. But notice it's only up to 3 points. So it's going to be way less useful. Pardon me. It's going to be way less useful than the 10 elemental healing from the national game, because normally with 10 you could take 1 or 2 hits and be okay. With 3 points of healing for every cast, you're not going to be able to backpack the way that we did in the national game. You can still try, but I don't think it's going to be nearly as effective. Making combat go a little bit more smooth. You can buy staves and thrown weapon. The reason this list is so small in comparison to the other ones is because spells are going to do all kinds of crazy wonky stuff. So there's no reason to really give them a bunch more skills, because what they use their spell energy on will determine their cool stuff. Okay, direct combat. So this is fighting people one-on-one. Ambidextrous. You can swing additional damage in both hands. So basically, if you take the Florentine skill, you can use a one-handed weapon in each hand, but one of them does base damage. If you take ambidextrous, any of the weapon damage increases that you take works in both hands. I think that's pretty cool. A much easier way to handle that system. Break weapon. Basically, one of your weapon swings, you spend 4 stamina, and you can deliver the broken condition to one weapon or shield. That includes claws. Buckler shield is a small shield. Favored target. You deal extra damage to one creature type. So as of right now, you can pick undead, undead goblins, or gnolls. And you, for the duration of a fight, you deal extra damage versus that type. Knockback. You can cause the knockback condition. Parry negates one weapon attack. Physical talent, augmentation, and mastery. These are your weapon increases. So you can only, if you take this category, you have to have 80 points in it to buy mastery. And you can only do +3. Oh, yeah. Yes, but the nice part is that claws can be fixed by medical training, but can't fix by healing magic. But medical training right now will fix the claws being busted up. So, yeah, you're not necessarily out of the game. The other thing is the broken condition. You only swing 1 point of damage with it. So it's not like it takes you out of the fight. It just makes you not as valuable to the fight. So maybe you go to the back and get fixed, or you keep fighting with dealing 1 point of damage. Yeah. I hated the disarm spell from the national game because people would hit you with it and then you would have to drop your weapon and then they would step all over it trying to get it away from you and like break your phys rep. Not cool. So, oh, and the other thing is, here, let me pull these up. So this is the item card, right? Notice how it has a durability. Notice how it doesn't have any time duration. It has the date it's created, but it doesn't have any time duration. Basically, whenever you make items, it has a set durability. Once the item has maxed out its durability, then it's broken for good, even magic items. There are certain magic items that will be unbreakable, though. So every time that it gains the broken condition, it has to get fixed, and it ticks one off of the durability. Okay, let's see what else. Quarry is you have one particular foe. It's basically Hunter's Mark from current version of D&D. Rage. Yeah. Well, that way, if you miss a couple of events, it's not like you missed out on using your item. It still exists. I really dislike the time duration thing, because what happens if another COVID hits and then we don't have events for like 2 years? You still want to have your stuff, right? So that's how you fix that. Rage is you deal additional damage against everybody, but then something bad happens at the end. Ranged weapon, shields, slay, thrown weapon, two-handed weapon. Pardon me. Group combat. This is where we get into, instead of having to attack people in the back for rogues, it's going to work very similar to the current 5e D&D version. As long as you are attacking a bad guy with one of your buddies, with somebody that is an ally, quote unquote, you do 1 additional point of damage. So it's an opportunist attack, not necessarily attacking them just in the back. You have to be fighting with another person. But you can stack opportunist with physical talent. So we have assassinate, buckler, counter. The nice part about counter is that it blocks the damage to you, and then you deal you take the melee attack, but you deal the same amount of damage back at the target, and it's unblockable, which is cool. And if the damage would drop you, you still get to finish your counter attack. Daze is cool because it's a way to kind of incapacitate characters without killing them. Flesh wound, you reduce the damage of a weapon attack to 1 and avoid any additional conditions with the attack. Hamstring, you cause the slowed condition on a target. I am skipping this song. And this one. There we go. No. There we go. Now I'm better. Waylay, you deliver the sleep condition. It makes way more sense. Yep, that's for the most part the group combat category. Next, you get into unarmed combat. You can use brawlers, very similar to DR, DL, all those kind of things. If you take fighting prowess, you gain 1 additional damage while attacking with claws or brawlers. You can get it up to +3. Block works just like parry. Florentine works the same. Grapple. You may deliver the entangle body condition to a target while holding the target with 2 claws or brawlers. So you can grapple people up. But if they have ways to get out of entangles, they can use them. Haymaker is essentially the slay for using claws or brawlers. Intimidate, you can cause the fear condition. Pain tolerance, you negate the effects of a condition until the end of a fight. I think it's a cool ability. Strength, you can have opposed strength checks. So if you want to hold a door closed, you can, and other people can try to force it open. It all depends on your strength. Also, you can use that your strength to rip people out of entangles. I think there's other things that I have in there as well, but that's down in the descriptions. After you get the combat categories, then you have, these are the 4 categories for other types of skills. Each of these groups has a guild. Each of the guilds have cool benefits for joining them. But yeah. So the thievery category, there's the black market skill. You get to use a black market. You can sell stolen goods. You can buy stolen goods. You can do all kinds of shady, horrible things. And you might be able to get discounts in comparison. Conceal object. You can hide an object on yourself. Cower, already went over. Diplomacy, already went over. Disguise. You actually physically have to have a disguise. NPCs will believe that you are whoever you're disguised as. So if you're making a secondary persona, you can totally do that. And you can play that persona at the game. There are skills that are able to kind of suss that out, but that's going to be few and far between, and most NPCs won't worry about that. Because I want people to use that kind of stuff. Escape Artist, cool skill. It'll let you get out of entangles or bindings and bypass certain barriers. What do you mean? If you're talking about disguise, I think it's a great skill. I love it. I would use it as my old character Nantua. Horrible things. Yeah, you know. Pick lock. There will be locks in the game on containers and doors and stuff like that. But it's just a time thing. It's not necessarily a... Sorry, I'm in all of the Asian style lo-fi stuff. And I'm not feeling it. Harris Heller loves Japan. So there's a lot of Japanese style stuff in there. So sorry. Okay. Pickpocket skill. You can only steal leaves, which are money, and basic goods. You cannot steal magic items or things like that. Just to cut down on PvP stuff. Poison use. Fun. Stealth. Very much like DLDR kind of thing. You can hide in the darkness. You can hide at night only for the basic one. You can hide but still move with the middle one, and then you can hide in brush or darkness during the day with the mastery one. Thieves Guild we'll go over later. Merchant stuff. Cower per usual. Diplomacy. Equal trade. You can trade one item from the guild for its market value rather than its rounded up cost, which is nice. Going rate, you can see what the guild will pay for an item. Haggle reduces the cost of a sale by 1 currency. I want that skill to be usable on players, but it's kind of difficult. But we'll see how it goes. Holdings is you get free. I think you get free money from holdings. Like you work with the bank. No guy. Already went over that. Requisition. Gain free items from the guild. Supply. This is getting resources for free at check-in. So if you go merchantry, you don't actually have to go out and get stuff on your own. That's what craftsmen do. No, food isn't a carded thing. Food is specifically a between players decision type deal. However, like you could, you as a craftsman could build let's say you build a restaurant, which makes food generate stamina faster. So instead of spending 30 minutes to get 1 stamina point, maybe they get 20 minutes to gain a stamina point while they're eating food in your restaurant or things of that nature. So I definitely don't want people to necessarily use those kind of skills for out of game items and whatnot. Food is very, very specific. Me as a game runner, I should not be involved in running food as part of my business, because if I don't have all of the appropriate clearances and certifications, which I do, but I don't want to be involved with that. That is a whole nother ball game. Well, no, I mean, food is just food. It doesn't do anything in particular. But the difference is, like, to gain stamina points back to use them, it takes 30 minutes of rest. Now, Just because the DLDR food market made huge amounts of in-game currency move. I don't have a problem with that. There's no... And that's the thing. You guys are allowed. Me as the owner of the game and things of that nature, I should not be involved in the food aspect of it because of legal repercussions that could happen. If it is just you guys doing home style meals and stuff like that and trading in-game money for it, that's out of my hands. That's up to you guys. I think part of the haggle skill is going to be specifically that you should use that with mainly NPCs. I don't have a problem with people attempting it with PCs. But it should be more of an understanding thing, but it's something we'll discuss. That's one of those things that I need player feedback from. So yeah, so that's the merchant category here. Yeah, I'm not one to restrict what you can charge for food in game, out of game, all that other kind of stuff. I don't have a problem with that. Yeah, no, that's the thing. Like you guys making food on your porch and stuff like that, and then letting other people eat said food. I have no problem with that. That doesn't bug me. It's whenever a game puts that as part of what you're paying for the game, then that game needs to have responsibility of, having all the appropriate certifications and stuff like that. That's my personal thought. Okay. Moving on to the academic category. Thank you for all the lurkers out there, by the way. I really appreciate you hanging out with me tonight. But the academic category, these are mainly all research skills. So analysis is looking at a particular item. Consultation, I really like the use of it. People have problems with puzzles. I like puzzles a little bit. But if you have the consultation skill, you can spend a stamina to get a hint in regard to the puzzle or reduce the difficulty on the puzzle, or possibly it'll remove it completely. I'm okay with that because maybe your character is smarter than you actually are. You know what? That's how I was. I went to a North Coast event and I specifically asked if I could make baked goods and stuff. And they didn't want me going over their own tavern. So I tried to, no problem there. But I didn't want to like harm their tavern that they were running. So I made like little stuff. I made rice pudding. I made cake. I made some pepperoni rolls, other stuff like that. And because I was selling my stuff for in-game money and not out-of-game money, I was selling stuff left and right. And one dude actually came up to me and said, "Hey, thank you so much for this. I didn't have enough regular money to afford to come to the game and to eat. So this is allowing me to eat." I basically just handed 2 pepperoni. Sorry about that, folks. I seem to have disconnected there. But for those of you that are still here, thanks for sticking around. But yeah, basically I gave the dude pepperoni rolls and I was like, please eat. I'd rather you ate. Yeah. Yeah, no, that really shouldn't be the call, but sometimes that's what people make and it's not a good one. That's why part of getting your stamina and energy back in game is doing things that you should be doing, like resting and eating and taking care of yourself. Those are the things that bring back stamina and spell energy in the game. Self-care, things like that. But yeah, so back to the academic stuff. I like the idea of consultation because it gets rid of people getting upset about puzzles. Deduction is information on a specific person. So mainly should be used on NPCs, but that's how you kind of suss out people with disguise. Historical research is how you're going to find out about the game world. Magical research is my magic spell that I'm trying to create work? Is the magic that I'm trying to do with crafting going to work? Or on the other side of things, how does this magic item that I just found work? Medical training is cool because it will heal and stabilize people at first level, remove some negative conditions at the second level, and then remove other negative conditions at the mastery. But it takes time and whatnot. Chart's wrong. Cost 1 point, 1 stamina for each of them. Scientific research is combining the different crafting and or magic. Search is getting information on a physical location. And surgery, I like surgery. Surgery is cool. If you there's basic surgery, which will, after 20 minutes of role play, heals you to full and removes all status conditions that were on you. Or there's experimental surgeries that might do crazy, wonky, cool stuff, kind of like the crafting skills. Last but not least, we have craftsman category. You have alchemy, forging, and enchanting. And then you can buy crafting augmentation and mastery, which lets you make augmented and mastercrafted stuff. So forging and scientific research combined would be like creating new alloys. Yes and no. We're not going to necessarily get into that that direct kind of stuff. But it would be doing that kind of effect. So if you take scientific research and you can use forging and let's say you can use forging and enchanting to make guns that make fire magic bullets and, do stuff like that. Yeah. Guild stockpile, you gain more currency at check-in. Gathering, forging, gathering is finding resources out in nature. Harvesting is harvesting resources from enemies. Maintenance is you can extend the item's durability. And technology crafting is making technology-based items. So guns and other similar stuff. So yeah, that's all the skills for the most part. If you guys notice any discrepancies, feel free, bring them up to me and I will fix them. But yeah. So we have our whole section on all the different skills in alphabetical order. There are a lot of prereqs to tech crafting. It's true. There's a reason why humans get firearms super early, but tech crafting takes a long time. Story reasons. But then all the conditions, each one is broken down, given their time frame, what valid targets are, stuff like that. Where's bleed and poison? So bleed is dangerous because the target is bleeding constantly and cannot benefit from any type of healing effect. This includes all effects that heal damage, bring characters back to life after becoming dead, and effects that extend death and dying counts. The sizes for weapons and shields are listed in the descriptions of the items. So, for example, direct combat category, one-handed weapon. One-handed weapon is any weapon under 46 inches. Two-handed weapon is between 46 and 75. Shield has its maximum at 36 inches at its at its longest dimension. And then buckler shield has a 20-inch diameter. So they're all listed there. Nope, I added it all in there just in case. So like ranged weapons. Thrown weapons don't have one because most thrown weapons are varying in size. And if you're going to use one of the like core latex weapon producers and stuff like that, they're going to vary a lot. So I tried to limit that kind of stuff. One thing you'll notice for the most part, all the weapons are under the short descriptions of those kind of sections. I could make it a separate chart. I don't know if it's necessary or not. But, yeah. So then after all of the skills and all the conditions, I just go over basic rules for certain aspects. So combat, how melee damage is called, what affects it, what doesn't, range damage, how it's called, what affects it, flurry rule. You're only allowed to make 3 attacks and then you have to step back and do a short pause. There may be skills later on in the game that allow people to do more attacks in a flurry. No pinning, trapping weapons. The angles of your attacks, between 45 and 90 degree swings. No baseball swings kind of call there. Turtling, very specific on it. A character may not hide in a way where their head is the only valid target to attack. This is mainly around doorways with no valid targets, using a shield to cover your entire body or similar tricks to prevent damage due to unsafe fighting conditions. Firearms in the game, you actually have to hold out the weapon and aim at your target for at least 3 seconds before calling the damage and discharging the blaster. Because using firearms in the game should be difficult, a little more difficult than firing a Nerf dart at people. So there's that. Going over the illegal targets, head, face, groin. Ranged attacks that make incidental contact with these areas count. However, it should be noted that if these areas are hit on a regular basis, a character's ability to use melee or ranged combat may be removed by staff at any time. The magic section goes over gaining new spells, creating prototypes. So for turtling, what if 2 players use 2 max size shields to completely block a door? Yeah, technically, if your head is the only valid target, then you are turtling. So you can't do the I'm using my shield and I'm bending forward so you can't attack my legs type deal. As long as you're standing there semi straight up and down, then it's okay. I don't know. I don't know if you're being awkward or not in regards to that. No, as long as there's a valid target that can be attacked, then you're not turtling. Like the big problem is whenever people are trying to reach around the sides of door frames to attack. Door battles are not going to necessarily be fought and won the same way as in the national game, because there are knockback effects and things like that. So it's not going to be as easy to hold a door that way. But there's other things you can do. So yeah, as long as you, one of the things is like, I think my shield rules, it provides for a much smaller shield than the national game allowed previously. So, and I think I based all my numbers off of the latex weapon creators kind of thing. So totally valid questions. It's stuff that we're going to have to look at, but turtling is not going to be nearly as prevalent of a call as it was previously. So yeah, whenever we go to magic here, it goes the way to gain spells and creating prototype spells and things of that nature. So how you can make your own. That's fair. No, that's totally fair. Part of what I want is to make a friendlier type environment so that people can call people out on their shit and not get all upset about it. And hey, we're just playing a game. We're here to have fun. We're not necessarily supposed to win every time. So I think if we go about it the right way, we'll have a really good community that can back each other up and not do that kind of stuff. But we'll see. There's always some bad apples and things don't always go according to plan. Yeah, so gaining energy back is very, very similar to gaining stamina back, but it's a separate thing. Just makes it a little bit more difficult. Casting a spell, fizz reps, throwing the spell versus touch casting, recovering energy. And then the basic spell list. Now, I don't have the spell incants here because I kind of want some player input and stuff. I want them to be simple, but I don't want them to feel necessarily not cool. But if you know the Berserk spell, you also know the remove Berserk spell. And not all the status effects are on this list. So knowing the spell to remove a status effect removes it faster. But it's not necessarily the most effective use of your spell energy. So just stuff to keep in mind. The elemental damage spell, for every 1 energy you put into it, you deal 5 points of damage, so you can power it up. Same with healing, harming touch. It does not have to be touched. It can be thrown as well. That was just the name. The 3 different entangles, natural weapon. So if you have that spell, you can create yourself a claw, because why not? Yep. Then it goes into the currencies, leaves there the money in the game itself. Leaves Leaves were originally created through an alchemical and enchantment technique that solidified essence inside of trees' leaves. This made them highly sought after. You can turn in 100 leaves during the course of an event to get 1 bonus CP, or you can turn in 500 leaves once a year to gain a bonus essence point. All clearly stated, all right in the rules. Resources, they're what you use to build tagged items, develop new designs, maintain tagged items that are starting to deteriorate. Nope. There will be leaves, and they are owned and retained by the game itself. So you turn them in at the end of the event, and it is put into a bank, and you can spend leaves from your bank. Very similar to coins from the national game. Not worried about stealing from the bank, things of that nature. Don't like dealing with that kind of stuff. Not worth your time or effort. So you can stockpile them and hold on to them as long as you want, and you can turn them in for bonus character points or extra essence or buying stuff and whatnot. But having the 100 leaves and 500 leaf turn-ins gives people that don't actually want to necessarily buy things to use their money on. The research section basically goes over what you can use the research skills for. So pre-event questions, during event questions, during event crafting assistance, etc. So like crafting assistance, a character may use a research skill to help determine what resource costs and effects may occur in creating a design prior to its actual construction. This helps to reduce failures and unforeseen negatives that may occur. Crafting science and tech, basic build items. Each of the 3 skills has 5 things that they can make with basic build. These are items that are just listed on your character sheet. If they are targeted or hit with a break effect, it automatically destroys them, which sucks, but these are very, very basic items. So alchemy gets 5 points of an alchemical grenade, so deals 5 damage with that thrown incant. A knockback, like a flashbang type effect. A tanglefoot bag. Alcohol. So it is a potion. If a character drinks it, they gain the distracted effect. And the craft effect that an alchemist can do is 1 point of poison damage. Any weapon that is poisoned does this. It doesn't add the poisoned effect. It just does an additional point of damage until that weapon is broken or destroyed. So cool to add that on. Oh, Frank, the one thing we were talking about doing is doing some kind of bars or something like that for leaves. But that's not set in stone yet. Enchanting has basic healing potion, 5 points of healing. Hardiness potion gives you 5 additional body. May not stack with other additional body points, and they're the first lost. Enchanted armor scroll, which gives 5 additional armor points. The wearer must be wearing physical armor to get the benefit of this. And it does 5 points over the maximum that the wearer is wearing. But you cannot stack that with other similar effects. A mana potion. This tier mana potion adds 1 energy to a character that drinks it. A character may only drink 5 mana potions per event. And their craft effect is a rune of protection. It's basically like a shield magic from the national base game. You are allowed to call resist to the first spell that hits you, but it has to be a physical thing that you are wearing. It has to be visible, which I kind of like. And then forging, you can make one-handed, two-handed, ranged, shield, or armor. And your craft effect is you can repair items. A tagged item that has the broken condition, you make it usable again, but it loses 1 point of its durability. After that, we get into the crafting, augmentation, and mastery and technology rules. They all have specific things that you need to do, specific durabilities that they can have, and things of that nature. But like, if you get crafting augmentation, the durability of all the items you make starts at 8. You can augment them to maximum 16. If it grants a bonus to damage, it can only be a +1. If it deals spell damage, it can or healing, it can only be 20 points or less. And they only use basic and common resources. Rare resources can be used instead of basic or common, but it doesn't have any additional effects on it. Whenever you get into mastery, it follows the same rules, but durability starts at 16, can go maximum to 32. There are ways to gain unlimited durability items at this level. Bonuses to damage cannot exceed +3. Spells cannot exceed 60 points. Use basic, common, or rare resources. Additional currency or resources can be required. And you can use additional currency or resources to modify effects during creation based on the resources and plot-based effects. Basically, there's a percentile roll that it could do something neat, additional, cool. And technology is 16 to 32 durability. You cannot get unlimited durability items on tech, but it can reach up to a +6 for damage bonuses, up to 100 points for spell damage and healing, and will include basic, common, and rare resources, and possible additional currency and resources. But there is a chance of failure or unforeseen outcomes and plot-based effects. There's, yet again, the percentile roll for these possible effects. Medical training and surgery goes over all that kind of stuff. Basically, the surgery works the experimental surgery works the same way as getting approved project design cards as crafting stuff. Guilds and governments. I think this is a whole cool setup. Basically, each guild and government has its own folder that is kept. And if you are part of a particular lineage, you can view that government's folder. If you're a member of one of the guilds, you can view one of their folders. And their folders have different things in it. So a guild is a business tied to a skill found in the more roleplay intensive skill categories. The only requirement to join a guild is taking its appropriate skill. A government is an organization run by the ruling members of a particular lineage. The only requirement to join a government is to be a member of that particular lineage. So both these groups work similarly. Each organization will have a folder. As long as a character meets the membership requirements, they will be allowed to have access to the folder. Characters may be members in multiple organizations. However, they may be limited on how far they may advance within multiple organizations. Not I should be noted. It should also be noted that advancement within an organization will never give a character power over another character. So, no in-game nobles. Players don't have law ability. So each organization will have a module list. Basically, if you are part of that organization, you can take part in the module. So there should never be a time where somebody says they have nothing to do, or they haven't been on a module the entirety of a weekend, because every character has a lineage, meaning every character can view the module list for their particular lineage government. And so you can always at least do a module there. But we have other ways to do modules as well. Market value chart, that's the chart that basically says what items they're selling, what items they're looking to purchase, and at what values. Only members of the appropriate organization may see this chart unless the character has an additional skill such as going rate that grants access. So basically you can buy certain items off of the guilds and sell them to other guilds if you really want to try to make money. Rumors list. It might just be basic information. It may be current events, locations, monsters, rumors, etc. None of the information is necessarily true per se, but you might find some truth in it. And then each guild has a feature. So the crafting guild maintains the project library. If you're a crafter and you create an approved project design, you can sell that design to the crafting guild. The crafting guild will rent it out so other people can make the item that you made the design for. The guild gets money that way, but they pay you for the actual design itself. Plus, whenever you sell them into the guild and stuff, that helps you to gain renown in the guild. Merchants Guild, basically they run a bank, so you can borrow money off of them. But they have interest that they demand, and if you do not pay them, they may put a bounty on you to the Thieves Guild. The Research Guild, basically any knowledge that is found through the research skills can be sold to the Research Guild. And basically you can write up documents and sell it to them. If you want to create a newsletter or something like that, they'll buy those. And then we'll have all kinds of cool in-game documents that players can peruse if they're looking for information. So you can rent time at the research library as well. And then the Thieves Guild has a stockpile of emergency resources and items, and they can sell them, stuff like that. Yep, exactly. And then the Thieves Guild has the additional bounty board that are handled by the Thieves Guilds. I'm debating on that back and forth. I don't want to have PvP caused by this kind of stuff, but part of it is I kind of like the thought of it. I think it's interesting. And then right here, characters' advancement within each organization is based on donations and modules completed. Every 10 leaves, 10 resources, 5 items, or 1 module brought to a satisfactory completion will grant a character 1 point within the guild. And then it says how many points it takes to rank up in the guild. So there's never a question of like, oh, I'm this rank or that rank. Nope, it's all listed right here in the rulebook, so it's easy to follow, and you don't have friendship gaming and all that kind of stuff, keeping people down and whatnot. And for the most part, that's the book. Everything is what you need to do all of the technical numbers-based stuff for the game. Okay. But yeah, that's pretty much it for the rule book. Frank, you got any questions? Anybody else out there? Any questions? Feel free to ask away. I am here. For what? Are you talking about the all those logbooks and stuff like that? There will be an in-game location. Or if you're talking about the guilds and governments book, all those are going to be set up by me as plot. So the basic thought process is, yeah, I'm going to have one player that runs that in game, as an NPC character, basically. Very similar to the way that Dead Legends did it. They had people that worked on rotating shifts. I think that would be a great job for people that are very, very focused on organizational stuffs, like Sherry and people like that. So, yeah, well, there's a couple things. Like, this is not going to be very similar to the national based game. I want most of the plot to happen during the daytime. I don't want a lot of nighttime fights. I don't want a lot of nighttime stuff. I want to go to bed at a reasonable hour at nighttime, and maybe have my two like little plot teams that are running the other monster groups to do some stuff at night. But most of the core story stuff is going to happen during the day. And I want it to be very much groups working together and building, like I said, building a community is more of the process of the story. Yeah. Yeah. No, I don't want 3 a.m. wake up raids. No, I'm done with that. Too old for that shit. And lots of people don't like it. Like, some people like it. It's fun, but so basically what I want to do is I want to have multiple ways for people that I want to have ways to have modules available for people that it's easier for them to get involved in. So there are some people that just want to sit in the tavern and talk and BS, and that's fine. Plot's not necessarily going to come to them. But if they know, hey, I'm a part of this guild, I should see what modules they have lined up for what times. You can have all your fetch quests be all of your crafting guild and your merchant guild and all that other kind of stuff. Maybe your guard duty quests, things like that. I want some of the modules that happen throughout the course of the day to be very mundane, to be very like, this is just the world. Sometimes things are dangerous, sometimes they aren't. But I don't want it to necessarily be super fantastical. But whenever there are certain modules that happen, I want those ones to be the ones that are really like, wow, okay, this is some weird shit going on. Maybe we should get involved. And I also want to limit the whole friendship gaming. Like, hey, I know this module is going to have a lot of money on it, so the hook goes and gets their friends or stuff like that. Anything we can do to, make sure that as many people are having as much fun as possible. That's what I want to do. So I'm planning on doing cards in the woods, module lists in each of the guilds and governments. Even if it's 3 mods each, that's still a lot of mods. And then even if there's random mods that you can try to scoop up from actual plot there. Cool. But part of my limiting the research to 3 questions, yes or no, during the course of the event is on purpose, so that I am not pulled by particular players who shall remain nameless, to go over all this story stuff. And I enjoy that people like my story, but I need to realize that sometimes whenever people enjoy the story, I can't go over every like little piece of it with them. They have to find out and whatnot. It's not you, Nay. I'm more talking about particular people that would just basically steal me for multiple hours of the game just to push their story parts. But yeah, leaving it at that. But yeah, if I have a bunch of different ways for people, I think all of us here know certain people that fit that mold, and I am not going to name names because I'm trying to not worry about that kind of stuff. But you know, it is what it is. Yeah, each of the guild's special things, there's basically going to be a box that holds on to all the stuff. So like the research guild stuff will all be in a tote, basically. And so if people want to rent it to go through and look at stuff, they can. But there's also the point of, you know, people aren't allowed to steal stuff from that. People aren't allowed to steal the approved design cards, things of that nature. I just need to make it really set in people's minds that, you know, we're trying to build the game as a community and not necessarily as this one person is trying to win. It's like these people are working together to survive. It's frontier fantasy. It's not stab the little guy to keep ourselves above everybody else type deal. So it's a work in progress. We'll see if it works. I'm hoping it works. But yeah. Any other questions in particular? I got about 6 minutes to go. And then I am off to bed because I have work in the morning. Bueller. Indeed. I need to save that. Save. The A&W is pretty good. I enjoyed it. Speaking of which, might as well grab a drink here. I think the big thing is that people are not going to necessarily have all the skills super fast. And characters are going to have to depend on each other to do different things. And so gathering is herbs and no, gathering is not herbs. Gathering is looking for anything. So whenever you take the gathering skill, every time you go out gathering, you choose whether you are gathering alchemical stuff, enchanting stuff, or forging stuff. And then you roll on a chart. And the chart is dependent on how dangerous it is for the weekend and whatnot. But what you roll on the chart determines whether you find basic. The charts are going to be in here too. But there are 3 different types of resource cards. We have your basic resource card. Let me find. So this is the basic crafting material. Odds and ends used to create the most basic items necessary to survive. So you might find a basic material. You might find a common material, which for forging, you would find common iron. For enchanting, you would find common incense. And for alchemy, you would find common herbs. And then if you roll very, very lucky, there is a list of 6 different rare crafting items. So for forging, if you find Yasu's obsidian razor, this is a description of what the item looks like. So each item has its own specific name and its own specific story. And each of the items basically might do a cool random additional effect depending on what you put it into. In addition to whatever you're trying to design. So basically, whenever you roll, it's going to be your percentile dice. You basically have a 10% chance of yes, I do too. That's why we made them. But yeah, so basically what happens is you roll a percentile dice. There's a 10% chance that you find some basic goods, but you were in a particular lineage's government area, so you might have to pay them a tax to gather those resources, or you can give them back. Or if you don't pay them the tax, then bounty hunters might come after you. But then there are varying degrees of, maybe there's another 20% that you get 1, 2, 3, or 4 basic materials. Then you might get 1, 2, 3, or 4 common materials. And then up at the very top of the percentile list, it's going to start very, very low, but basically each event where that goes without finding a rare component, the percentage chance of possibly finding a rare component goes up. And that is in addition to the basic or common resources that you would find. So, yeah. I have a lot of resource cards available, and they all do weird, cool stuff. In my mind, and basically it's up to you. If you come up with a cool idea here, let me pull one up. Let me pull up one of the forging ones because you like the idea of forging. Okay. So we have Trucador's trappings. This metal has been forged on furnaces much hotter than any humanoids can create, making it lighter and thinner than other alloys. So if you come up with, hey, I want to make a rapier out of this, and I want it to be +2 because I'm using this very, very thin metal that it takes an edge better or something like that. If you justify it to me, whenever we're trying to make your approved design card, if you're using resources that make sense with what it goes with, then maybe your resources will be cheaper, or maybe it'll be better than what you were planning on doing, or stuff like that. We want to be really fluid with it, and we want to promote people making cool things, and playing with the story. So yeah, no, there's a lot in there. Let me pull up one of the other ones. Shargol's Havoc Shards. The metal from this weapon endures without blemish, regardless of how the other parts have fared. So basically, these are shards of previous weapon. I hope so. I mean, it's probably going to be on a much smaller scale, and that allows me to be a lot more flexible in certain aspects. Would I love it if we got to the point where, we had 100 plus players, and I could pay myself and the plot runners, and we could do all kinds of stuff like that? Hell yeah, I definitely would. Do I think it's going to get to that point? No, but you never know. The way I look at it, if this is my midlife crisis, I'm doing pretty good. I mean, I'm not driving around and in a fancy car or doing a bunch of other stuff. I'm trying to run a game and have fun with people, so it's worth it for me. Yeah. Well, and that's the thing too. Like, keeping a magic weapon around is expensive, unless you're a particular group that gets all of the game's resources and all the game's money, and you can just buy them off of chapters that don't follow the rules. Fair enough. But I really like the idea of the system. Like, let me see where it is. It is maintenance. Where is it? So maintenance, the skill allows an item to have its durability extended, or a destroyed item to be remade for half the material cost of making a brand new item. So yeah, even if you have an item that, goes bye-bye, you keep the tag because maybe you can rebuild it, or, make it for half cost. Heck yeah, please. Maybe you find a magic sword. It's, some great hero sword, but it's already broken. But you find somebody that has the maintenance skill to bring it back for cheap. Yeah. Like, do things. Like, I want people to do things. I want people to try crazy, cool stuff. Like, do something wild. I have a bunch of ideas for additional spells that I want to do, but I want players to come up with their own. So I didn't want to put too much in, but just there's all kinds of cool items. Like, you notice, hold on, there's one. Let me get to it. Where's the spell list? There's no life spell. There's no death spell either. Like, this is it. That's it for the spells. There's not a lot. And these are the ones that you can choose from. Every time you get buy one energy, you can get one of these basic spells added to your spell list. But once you run out of those, or if you have to make your own spells, you have to figure it out. Yeah. But I like too, like, people aren't going to be running around with 50 armor points and being able to refit it instantly. You can't do it. Like, once your armor hits 0, it's broken until you go and get somebody to fix it, which takes time and resources. So, like, there's a lot involved. And so, yeah, it might be worthwhile to have 40 points of armor, but that can go away pretty quick. And then you're just 5 body, maybe 15 body if you have cool costume. And yeah. Yeah. Knowing a guy is an important skill. There's actually a skill named that. You should know a guy. Any other questions before we head out? Actually, let me do one more. Let's do the other cool thing that I did was there are rare basic resource cards. So like this is the basic crafting card, but we have like this Zerillion Zealous Flames, basic but rare component. This coal constantly smolders, yet only consumes itself while crafting. Ratty special stock. This stack of basic resources seems to grow while no one is looking. Like, cool stuff. Okay, guys, I'm going to call it quits. Thank you very much for hanging out tonight. I really appreciate it. I love talking about this kind of stuff. Yeah, no, there's plans for all that kind of stuff. So even basic resources can still be cool. I'm super excited. I hope that we can get enough people for a playtest section and get this ball rolling. I hope everybody looks over the rules and thinks that, you know, it'll work out pretty well, but we'll see how she goes. Thank you very much, guys. Have a great night. I will see you next time. I should be streaming on Wednesday. If not, maybe I'm working on the first of the videos. We shall see. Have a great night, y'all.